His leadership spans across renowned organizations where his contributions have made a lasting impact. Mr. Ravinder Bolangdy's
The way they splash cash like a sailor hitting a port of call, I was quite impressed, and I said, this is the job I want.
It's fascinating how those early turns, whether planned or not, shaped the leader we see today.
It's not been a challenge for me to deal in a multicultural environment, which I've subsequently experienced.
And it's amazing how you connected a regional challenge to a universal business truth.
We still believe in the old philosophy of, the boss is always right even when he's wrong.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of FaceTime with Leaders, brought to you by Directors Institute, World Council of Directors. I'm your host, Sunny Pancholi, and today we have the privilege of sitting down with a truly distinguished leader in the logistics and aviation industry, Mr. Ravinder Bolangdy. With almost 45 years of experience, Mr. Bolangdy has led transformative projects in global cargo operations from Asia Pacific to Europe and has been at the forefront of some of the most pivotal changes in the sector. His leadership spans across renowned organizations such as Swissport, Air India Sets, and Menzies Air Cargo, where his contributions have made a lasting impact. But what stands out most is not just his track record in managing multi-million-dollar operations, it's his approach to leadership, his commitment to innovation, and his ability to navigate complex global challenges with an unwavering focus on strategy and operational excellence. So, in today's episode, we will dive into Mr. Ravinder's journey, the challenges he has faced, and the lessons he has learned along the way. Whether you are in logistics, aviation, or simply interested in how global leaders think and operate, there is something here for everyone. Mr. Bolangdis, thank you so much for joining us today. We're excited to hear your journey, your story, and the wisdom you have gained from decades of experience.
Good morning, Sunny. Thank you for having me on the show today, and I hope my career journey so far resonates with the viewers along with their own journey as well. And I look forward to sharing my experiences with the audience during this session.
Absolutely. Looking to have a great session ahead. Okay, so Ravi, let's start simple. Before all the fancy titles, big projects, I'm talking about the real beginning. What got you into this world of logistics and aviation? I mean, how did you find your way into this career? And honestly, did you always see yourself in this space, or was there a moment that just clicked for you?
That's a nice way to start our conversation today, Sunny. If if I have to answer this, I have to go back to 1979 when I graduated from college in Chennai. In those days, a medical sales representative job was the in thing and the most sought after job in the market, simply because it put a lot of cash in the pockets of the sales representatives in terms of cash incentives. Some of my school friends and college friends and some family members as well were medical sales representatives, and the way they splash cash like a sailor hitting a port of call, I was quite impressed, and I said, "This is the job I want." But I tried several opportunities to become a medical sales rep, and unfortunately or fortunately, I didn't even clear the first round in many cases. So apparently, life had different plans. And soon enough, my dad's cousin called him one day and said, "Hey, I want Ravi to go and meet this gentleman, supposed to be his good friend and a regional head in a company that I hadn't even heard of." And he said it was merely a formality, and all I had to say was yes, and the job would be mine. So the next day, I went to see this gentleman, and he received me quite warmly. And the first question he asked me was, "Hey, Mr. Ravi, what have you done recently, or what have you done lately? And I said to him, well, I've just graduated in science with a first class RAV, with the first class marks. And he said, well, congratulations. But why would you want to work in this company which has mostly school and college dropouts? And that was a real shock to me. And then he said, well, the pay over here is not that great either, unlike what other companies pay outside. So you might want to rethink if you really want to pursue a career in air cargo. And he said, he sensed my hesitation, and he said to me, it was a Saturday morning. So he said to me, well, think about it over the weekend. And if you are here on Monday morning, the job is yours. So I went home and I confronted my dad and I said, Dad, are you really serious? I mean, the salary they are offering here is an embarrassment. And he turned to me and said, son, uh, don't look at the salary. Uh, think about it as a new industry which is going to, become a leading industry in the future. And what you're going to do over in this company in the next 5 years is going to be much better than any other job. So I said to myself, whatever. And on Monday morning, sure enough, I reported for work very reluctantly, and the job became mine. I think the regional head who interviewed me was also surprised to see me on Monday, but he never said anything. So the first few months, I tried very hard to get out of this job by looking at other alternatives, and nothing worked. But gradually, I found that I started liking the job. I had the opportunity to go to airline offices, see all those smart airline reps, especially the people behind the counters. It's all smartly dressed and saying, how may I help you? And so on. And I started liking the job gradually. And what was icing on the cake was dealing with a lot of foreign visitors uh, who, with whom I had to spend a lot of time making customer visits, wining and dining with them in five-star restaurants. And all of a sudden, I was living the dream, although I didn't realize it. And life again has a way of throwing surprises at you. And a couple of years later, I got an offer from my dad's colleague, ex-colleague, so to say, offering me a job that I was chasing so hard in the past. It was a sales rep's job with a good major big company. The salary was excellent, the perks were good, and all I had to say was yes. And at that point in time, when I had to take a decision, that click moment happened. And I turned around to this person and said, sorry, but thank you for the offer. I'll have to take a pass because I don't think this job will offer me the same thrill that my current job does. He was, of course, shocked. His jaw dropped, and he said, I mean, there are people out there waiting to, give an arm and a leg to get this job. And I said, I'm sure they will give an arm and a leg, but it's like, Master Oogway telling Master Shifu in Kung Fu Panda, sometimes you meet your destiny on the road that you least wish to travel. So I think that was true in my case. And when I came back and told my dad, he was quite amused because just a couple of years ago, this was the same job I was trying very hard. I have remained with the industry throughout until now and never regretted it. And as some of the aviation professionals say, once you're an aviation professional, you'll always be an aviation professional. And I think that's true in my case.
Absolutely amazing, Ravi. The way you described really sets the tone for understanding not just your career, but your mindset from the start. And it's fascinating how those early turns, whether planned or not, shaped the leader we see today.
Thank you, Sani.
All right. So, Ravi, let's talk shop. You have been at the helm of some major cargo operations from Asia Pacific to the Europe. And with such a diverse set of regions, I'm sure there were some challenges that really stuck with you. So I got to ask you this. What were some of the most memorable challenges you faced while navigating these different cultures? And how did you adjust your strategies to make it work?
That's an interesting question, Sunny. Fortunately, I have worked with several foreign colleagues or foreign visitors right from the early stages of my career, and that has continued until recently. Because when you work in a global organization, obviously you work with global colleagues as well. So I had the opportunity to interact with people from London, UK, USA, of course, Germany, France, Switzerland, and so on, and subsequently with several other nationalities throughout the course of my career so far. So it's not been a challenge for me to deal in a multicultural environment, uh, which I've subsequently experienced. So I was able to navigate through this multicultural environment quite easily. Although there are some distinct observations that I've made. For example, overseas countries, you'll see that the subordinates can stand up to their boss and even question their boss's decision. If they are not convinced, they expect to be included in decision making. And also, they address their superiors by first names, which in our country we still believe in the old philosophy of the boss is always right even when he's wrong, and we are also guilty of taking our subordinates quite lightly. We don't appreciate good work, whereas in the overseas countries they expect to be appreciated for the good work that they put in. So these are the basic work culture differences that I've witnessed. And the other thing is over there, if you want to take a photocopy or you want to have coffee, you better get it yourself, get it done yourself, because nobody's going to help you with that. Whereas over here, we are pampered. We tend to expect coffee and tea to be served on our desks. We use office help or even subordinates to do errands for us, which will never happen in those countries at all. Uh, Having said that, uh, we need to keep in mind that as long as you work in a global multicultural environment, you have to be conscious that of the work culture prevailing over there in those countries and adapt yourself to be able to deal with it. Uh, in my case, I found it quite difficult initially to being questioned by people lower than my rank or my position. But rather than push my own decision, down their throat, I decided the best way to deal with it was patience and open-mindedness, and I was able to also offer them innovative solutions whenever they were in a sticky situation. And that worked quite magically for them because it came from the depth of my experience and knowledge about the industry. And gradually, they started accepting me, and sometime later, I became one of their own. I'll give you an example. In my recent stint in Australia, I was the go-to person for the commercial team over there. And when they had to respond to airline RFQs, and they always found that the customer had a very tough ask in their SLAs, they would always come to me and say, "Hey, Ravi, this is a tough one. So we really look forward to getting some good solutions and ideas from yourself." And in one case, a customer was asking for delivery lead times, which was almost a very aggressive lead time, which was far below the local industry benchmark. But then I was able to offer an airside direct delivery solution for this customer, which reduced the delivery time almost by half as compared to the industry benchmark, and that was a market first. So I guess this is the way that I was able to deal with the challenges of a multinational or multicultural environment.
Ravi, I love how you did not shy away from the messy parts. That's where the real leadership lessons hide. And it's amazing how you connected a regional challenge to a universal business truth. So that blend of grit and adaptability really says it all.
Thank you, Sunny.
All right. So moving ahead, let's talk about decision making. And you have been in the driver's seat for a lot of complex projects like at Swissport or Air India sets. So when the pressure is on and you are faced with tough choices and challenges, balancing short-term fixes with long-term goals, what's your approach to keeping it all aligned?
That's a good one. In one of my assignments, I was a CEO reporting to the board of directors, and the company was a joint venture company with a 51-49 ownership ratio. And interestingly, both the shareholders had a different approach to business. One was a flamboyant top line focused company. The other one was a conservative bottom line focus. And as per the shareholder agreement, after 7 years of the joint venture, ongoing joint venture operations, one of the shareholder could exercise a callback option on the other one, buy them out. And so the majority shareholder decided to call their options and to buy out the minority shareholder, even though the difference was 2%. And the valuation exercise began, and it was a pretty protracted process because somehow both the shareholders could not come to a mutually agreeable price. And while this was dragging on, our business had increased substantially, and our infrastructure needed a significant upgrade. And it also took a lot of capital investment to complete that upgrade. So we put a proposal to the board for approving this capital expenditure for this project. And given the scenario at that point in time, both of them were initially quite against the implementation. But gradually, one of them decided to support it, even though the other one still opposed it because it affected the short-term results of the organization. So and the trade was pushing us to implement this upgrade quickly because that was the market demand prevailing at that time. So finally, my core team and I sat down together. We went through multiple brainstorming sessions and then worked and reworked our project proposal, project proposal, and then we submitted one of the refined proposal back to the board, and it took a lot of persuasion and convincing to be able to get them to agree to it. But finally, we were lucky enough because they finally agreed, and they approved the proposal. Of course, the flip side was, both of them had a lot of skin in the game, and they had other opportunities elsewhere, which they did not want to jeopardize by probably losing company brand image on this one. So, as I said, it was approved. We went through the project implementation, and the trade was pretty happy with the decision to move ahead. And by the time the implementation was complete, the other one joint venture partner was already out of the company, and it became a wholly owned company at the time of the implementation going live.
Ravi, I like how you framed it, not just as operational efficiency, but as a long-term trust investment. You can almost feel the pressure in that moment, and yet the way you navigated it shows why experience matters. All right. So, moving on to the next question. Uh, we know you have mastered the operational side of things, Ravi, but let's talk about technology, specifically how you have integrated it into global logistics. So, with tools like Cargo Spot and Customs ICS, how do you see the role of tech evolving in air cargo management? Continue.
You raise an important point, Sunny. The cargo spot and the customs ICS systems are basic systems uh, that are part of cargo terminal operators' handling process and the customs clearing process. But that's not all. Uh, Besides these systems, there are other parallel systems running concurrently. For example, you have the cargo terminal operator system, which is called the CMF, and then you have other systems running parallelly, like, for example, cargo weighing and measurements system, which is normally managed through sensor technology that that is used that so that physical manual handling is eliminated to capture data. Then you have drone technology to monitor inventory management and also stock takes. And then you have things like exosuits, which is a kind of a suit that people wear when they lift heavy packages to prevent injuries while working. And then you have uh, equipments like an AGV or automated guiding vehicle, which is used to transport airline built units loaded with cargo or even empty to reposition it somewhere in the location, in any location within the warehouse. So all these need to be patched into the CTO CMS system. Now, similarly, each stakeholder in this entire chain needs to integrate such parallel systems into their main core operating system, and that has to be networked with the systems of all the other stakeholders to be able to reach a community level. Only then you will find that each stakeholder has complete visibility end to end. But this is only managing to manage the physical movement of cargo from one end to the other, from point A to point B. So most modern airports have started implementing some community cargo systems or cargo community systems, as they call it. But it's going to take a long time to reach a truly cargo community system level where each stakeholder has real-time visibility of the status of his shipment. And while this integration is happening in patches, I hope that the emergence of artificial intelligence and blockchain will speed up this entire integration process. And I hope it happens sometime in the near future. My personal vision is that all the stakeholders in the ecosystem transact remotely from their respective locations, and only the people that physically handle the cargo, like the first mile, the intermediate, and the last mile transporters, are the only ones that actually physically move the goods between the shipper and the consignee. And that's the vision that I see, and I hopefully that will become a reality with the emergence of AI and blockchain.
Absolutely, Ravi. Absolutely. In fact, I could almost see the old stacks of paperwork and hear the beeps of cargo spot dashboards replacing them.
Just to add, Sunny, IATA has introduced the digital platform called One Record, where almost all the paper transaction involved in end-to-end supply, the air cargo logistics, is digitalized, and it is seamlessly available to all the stakeholders in the chain. That's an initiative which they have just introduced, and Once that is adopted, I think we will more move towards a truly digital platform.
Absolutely incredible, Ravi. Uh, okay, so enough of serious talks for now. Time for some fun, right?
Yeah, that'll be great.
Yes, so let me throw a rapid fire round your way. You don't have to overthink. Just go with what pops into your head. All right?
Ah, gonna be fun. Yes, I'll give you whatever comes to my mind.
Yes, absolutely. So, shall I shoot you the first question?
Sure.
Okay. What's your go-to comfort food after a long work week?
A glass of red wine and chicken wings.
Okay, amazing. A song or artist that always gets you pumped for the day.
Chak de India.
Chak de patte. Oi.
That's the way.
Yes, yes, that's the way. That's the way. All right, amazing, motivational. Okay, moving on to the next question. One gadget or app you can't live without right now.
I won't be alone when I say WhatsApp.
Expected. Okay, vacation spot you would love to escape to if work paused for a week.
I'll go with Rome, especially the Vatican.
Okay, amazing. And fifth question, if we open your desk drawer, what's the most unexpected thing we would find?
A long forgotten grocery list from my wife.
That was quite unexpected. Okay, amazing, amazing. Uh, Loved it. Loved all the answers, and thank you for those quick answers. Always a great way to ease into the conversation. Great. So now let's get into the heart of the matter. Every industry faces its shares of complexities, Ravi. So let's dig into the serious topic. The Wall Street Journal recently reported a surge in fake freight forwarders and business email scams targeting logistics. And these schemes are a real headache for the industry, right? So, with your experience in managing large scale operations, how do you ensure your team stay ahead of these fraud risk and prevent them from damaging operations or your reputation?
The Wall Street Journal article that you mentioned relates to something which happened on in the United States in 2023. And it was the targeted on towards uh, local trucking companies, large trucking companies, and customs brokers. And how it happened was some cyber thieves managed to hack into their systems, and in the guise of being one of the parties involved, they would actually skim the payments made online and steal that money. And according to the same article that you mentioned, the estimated loss was somewhere between 500 million and 700 million US dollars over a 12-month period. Subsequent, but other than that, on a broader scale, in between 2020 and 2023, there were three major cyber attacks, but this was mainly ransomware, where if you look at the major companies attacked at that time, one was a large US trucking company called Forwarder. Another one was a global freight forwarding company called Hellman Worldwide Logistics. And third was, of course, Swissport. I remember the Swissport episode because I was just a couple of months old in the organization when this attack happened. But subsequently, Swissport was able to contain the threat and restore the system within 48 hours. And although there are no indications or news items about what the potential loss or the actual loss was, more recently in this year, in June 2025, three airlines were attacked. One was an airline called WestJet, which is a Canadian airline. The other one was Hawaiian Airlines, and the third one was Qantas. And according to what I read about these incidents, uh, some of the people who made online bookings for their tickets to travel thought they had a booking until they went to the airport and found that they didn't. But in any case, as you rightly said, cyber attacks are becoming a major headache to not only our industry, but I think any major company is a target in these days. You can't stop that because you have no control over it. The only thing you can do is protect your systems with the highest or most advanced cyber security protocols and make sure that each of the users are aware of what they should not do. Fortunately for me, again, the companies that I worked for in the last 12 years, and I think just around this time, that ransomware was becoming a big rising threat in the tech world. So all these companies that I work for have centralized IT systems, and they are surrounded by a wall of cyber security protocols, which make it difficult for cyber thieves to, penetrate. Even though, I mean, with technology advancing, cyber thieves will always find a way to break your defenses. So the only way you can contain this is constantly upgrade your systems to have the latest version of cybersecurity. Make all the users aware through regular internal bulletins as to, being aware and on the lookout for suspicious mails from unknown senders, not clicking on malicious links which come in through, or any suspected links coming through these such mails, and reporting it to the local IT department if they receive any such mails before they click on it. In my case, most of these companies that I work for followed this process. So all I had to do was make sure that in my team briefings and other meetings with my core team or even a larger audience, we always included this in our point of discussion, just to make sure that everyone kept it on top of their mind. But having said that, I myself fell prey to clicking on one of these links. It was, I thought, an internal communication, which it was, but they were just trying to find out who didn't understand the meaning of not clicking on suspicious links. In a moment of distraction, I just clicked on that link only to be told that you've been phished. And then I had to undertake a refresher awareness program. I had to pass multi-choice questions and pass in order to retain my email access. So that was a pretty embarrassing moment for me. But anyway, that's the way large companies manage the threat of cyber attacks.
Ravi, I really appreciate how openly you have shared that, especially the part about the near miss.
Well, it reminds me of that scene in. Did you see that movie Great Escape, where Richard Attenborough, I think, he keeps telling all his teammates who are trying to escape from German prisoners of war camp, and the first thing he tells them is, when any German addresses you in English, do not respond in English. And he drills that into them until when during his escape, somebody accosts him saying good morning, and then he responds in English, and then he's caught. So I think it was just like Richard Attenborough in my case in Great Escape.
Great. But that's an incredibly important point. We all know how quickly things can spiral if not managed right.
Yes, that's true. And big companies, big, small, medium companies, they all grapple with this threat, and they have to keep their fingers crossed that whoever the attackers are not successful. Because any downtime can cause consequential losses which are unimaginable.
Rightly said, Ravi. Rightly said. Okay, so now I would love to hear about your experience joining Directors Institute. I mean, you have seen it all, but what made you decide to go back to learning and how has it shaped your leadership perspective?
That's a nice way to end this discussion today. But if you see my profile, I over this tenure of mine spanning across 4.5 decades, I happen to work with small family-sized companies and large global companies. And some of the companies that I work for are still in the top two. I worked for the top three aviation companies in the last 12 years. And I've handled roles from a cargo assistant to a CEO reporting to the board and other regional positions across smaller and larger geographic regions. I've handled right from basic ground operations to business development, industry vertical management, and project cargo handling, supply chain, worked with some of the Fortune 100 companies as customers, of course. And I've handled mergers, demergers, acquisitions. And in my last assignment, I was the lead manager for two merger and acquisition projects, one in South Asia and another one in Southeast Asia, which I had to work from ground zero till board approval, which went through successfully, thankfully. So all these assignments that I've done have been outside of the board and following instructions issued from the board level. So it happened that one morning earlier this month, I think at the beginning of this month, I woke up around 4 o'clock and I couldn't get any sleep. So I just took my mobile and started checking my WhatsApp messages, and there was this nice forward from a family member from a family group, which took me to ultimately to YouTube. And before that, uh, that file which was shared, before that file opened, there was an ad from Directors Institute talking about the independent directors and international corporate directorship programs. And so, there was going to be a webinar a couple of days later. So I was thinking to myself, all these years, I've only done things outside of the board without even a position inside a board of directors in a company. So I thought it was high time that I shifted to become qualified, to be a member on a board, sitting member on a board. And I thought this was the best opportunity for me. And I therefore registered, went through the webinar, and I said to myself, uh, this is what I'm going to do. And I want to stay the course. I want to run the distance, get myself certified, qualified. And I look forward to being on the board of some companies and make valuable contributions in making those organizations meet their organizational goals, long term, short term, whatever, but uh, whatever it takes to be the best in their business. So that's what brought me to this course. Of course, the other incentive was that one of the certificates that would be issued would be from State Business School, which is part of the University of Oxford. And interestingly, my son uh, passed out from said business school about 5 years ago when he completed an MBA course. So it's going to be fun because when I get this certificate from said business as well, both of us plan to go to Oxford, stand in front of State Business School, and get a picture of ourselves taken, both of us holding our certificates together. And it's going to be my profile picture on LinkedIn whenever that happens.
Absolutely incredible, Ravi. And I love how you turned what could have been just another course into a real inflection point in your leadership. I think that's the part people often miss. It's not about adding a certificate, it's about reshaping how you think in the boardroom.
As they always say, Sunny, when there's no age limit for learning, and I think the same is applicable in my case as well.
Absolutely, Ravi, absolutely. So, that is it for today. Thank you once again for joining us today, Mr. Ravi. And it has been an absolute privilege to hear about your remarkable journey, the challenges you have faced, and the invaluable insights you have shared with us today. Your leadership in the logistics and aviation sector is truly inspiring, and I'm sure our audience has gained a deeper understanding of what it takes to succeed at the highest levels in such dynamic industries. So, thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you, Sunny, and thank you once again for having me on this show today. And I hope, as I said, the audience would find the experiences that I've shared resonates with their own. And I wish everyone and all the best.
Great. And to our audience, if today's conversation resonated with you, or if you found yourself gaining a new perspective on leadership, strategy, and the importance of continuous learning, please share this episode with someone who would benefit from it. These conversations are not only about sharing knowledge, but also about sparking action and growth. This has been FaceTime with Leaders, powered by Directors Institute. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, keep striving for excellence, keep evolving as leaders, and stay ahead of the curve. Thank you so much.